All right, y'all. Joined now, obviously, by midfielder Ethan Finlay. As with coach, whoever wants to start us off, go ahead.
Ethan, what was the reaction for you personally and then from the teammates when you saw the news about Diego going to Los Angeles, memo coming in, and this team making a change that suggests kind of the future is a bit more priority than the present?
Yeah, where do I start with that one? Yeah, I mean, personally, I've been in this league a long time, so I've been someone who's been traded. I've been part of trade rumors. It's natural. The one thing that I'll say is, Diego was a foundational piece for this club. I had a great relationship with him. I think a lot of guys in this locker room had good relationships with him. We're not involved in that process, and we understand it's a business, and he will not be the last big piece that leaves this club. Brad Stuber will leave this club most likely someday. Sebastian Drewski will leave this club. This is part of it. This is something that I think our fans are, in a way, somewhat learning. It's a business, right? That being said, we lost a really good player. We actually added two good players as well this window, in Matt Hedges, Memo Rodriguez. So any notion that we've punted, and I think you were the one I think that suggested that our club is punted maybe on this season, I think is misconception, is not accurate. If anything, I think we addressed some defensive needs, and I think we also have a player in Memo who has a similar profile to Diego. So those two pieces I think are going to help us, especially as we make a deep run hopefully this season. So any idea that I think that this is a move primarily for the future, I think is wrong. I think it does give us roster flexibility. It gives us money flexibility going into next year. And at the end of the day, we want to win. Players want to win. The club wants to win. That's all that matters. And while I know fans will be somewhat disappointed in losing Diego, who was such an important piece for the club, they want to win. At the end of the day, if we're raising a trophy at the end of the year, I think that we can say, we did everything to make sure we won. So.
Then also just when you hear what Rodolfo Borrell, when he arrives, he speaks a couple weeks ago and delivers kind of a hard message about you guys, I'm sure, were really proud of what you accomplished, and the city was really proud of what you guys accomplished last season. In his view, it was a bit of an overachievement, and y'all weren't necessarily in a position to be competing for the trophies in his eyes. Is that a hard message to receive, or is that something that you guys kind of were on board with?
I think the numbers suggest that, right? I think he's looking at different metrics. Being a second-year club in a Western Conference final is a rare thing. If I think back, I think maybe Atlanta and LAFC are two clubs that have done it. Toronto, I want to say, went 9 years without the playoffs, guys. So to give you a little bit of, an idea on how challenging it is in this league, it is not easy to just find a way to get into playoffs and to make deep runs. So for us to do it in year two, yeah, it might have been a little bit of overachieving. We might have had some guys who overperformed, and it's going to be really challenging to keep those levels. That being said, expectations are set high from our ownership group, from our fans, and we as players and coaches, we take ownership of that, but we also have to manage the expectations within our own group, and I think we've done that. We talked about being in position to make a run. In MLS, every year you look at it, anybody can win once get in the playoffs. Anything can happen. Look at what's happened in Leagues Cup, right? One player enters the league, well, two players for that team, in my opinion, and they're in a final, right? Things, if you get a hot team going, and that's what we hope that we're going to do in the next 11 games and set ourselves up to make a run to the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Ethan, you alluded just a few minutes ago that you're a player who has been traded in this league. Take us through what that's like, so maybe fans can get a better idea of of what's going through, what Diego is going through. So what are the emotions? What does a player in MLS feel like when all of a sudden mid-season or whenever you're traded and then your life changes?
Yeah, hey, I was a best 11 player 18 months prior to me getting traded. Okay, best 11 in the league. Team went to MLS Cup. You're gone, right? It stinks. It's tough. Diego got an opportunity to come here and say goodbye to guys. I think what the club did for him to allow him to do that, and Josh and Anthony, the ownership, say, come in, you were an important piece. I think Diego did something the night that he got traded with the fans. Not every player gets that opportunity. Sometimes you get the phone call and you're off and going. When I did it, I got a phone call. It was on a Tuesday, and on Thursday I was in Minnesota training, and I played on the weekend against Seattle. Right? It happens very, very quick, especially when they're mid-season stuff. So you're trying to, find a place to live. What I'll say now, today's age, clubs do a really good job onboarding guys. I mean, you can talk to guys like Matt and Memo. Really, high-level clubs are doing a really good job. I told Diego right away on the PA, if he has any issues, and when it comes to relocation and that stuff, reach out. All these resources are available to you, and so, I mean, it's very challenging, but it's our job. At the end of the day, it's our job. And he made a big move a couple of years ago from New England. It's a club he had spent 10 years with. It is what it is. I think some guys on our team have been traded multiple times. I mean, Max has been on 4 or 5 different clubs, right?
Yeah.
He's a guy that kind of understands it. This is what it is. And you look all over the world, guys play for multiple clubs. It's always special to play a long time at one club. But this is just a business, and we all understand that we're all going to move on at some point.
You mentioned the fan event for Diego at Hop Squad. I imagine the players have had some banter about the fan reaction to Diego's trade. What's that talk like been in the locker room?
No, I don't think there's any fan reaction. We don't have any reaction to that. I mean, that's obviously Diego was a fan favorite, if you will, and that's great. I think our fans do a great job supporting our entire team, and I fully expect them to be cheering for Memo, and even when Diego comes back, right? I mean, like I said, he was a foundational member, but at the end of the day, when he comes here, I think our fans will tell you, they want us to win the game. They're not going to, I don't want Diego to win the game. I surely hope not, right? If you're fans of Austin FC, you're fans of this team, you're fans of the Verde and Black. That's who I'm with, and like I said, it doesn't take away from what he did for our club by any means.
When it comes to replacing Diego, we asked Josh, what does that look like? And the first name he mentioned was CJ, and I know he scored a goal in the scrimmage against New York. So, where have you seen his growth over the last couple months?
How do you know that he scored that goal?
Oh, I asked Josh.
We have sources.
Okay.
We have sources.
Yeah.
Good sources.
I mean, CJ, I think you've seen his progression. Honestly, I personally seen it just even in his body. When he first showed up here in January, he hadn't quite really filled out, and he needed to get his legs. He still had some young legs on him, and I think in the last 6 to 7 months here, we've seen him grow tremendously. And I'm excited to see what he's about. I think his profile is very different. He's a big guy, but he's a dynamic player. He's got a little 1v1 about him. He's got really good service, a really cultured left foot for a young kid. So I think he's going to be one to watch for. I think Memo brings a lot of quality. He's been around this league a long time, and we're getting Emmy back. Emmy's getting back healthy. Another player who has a lot of quality and can play in multiple positions. So I think there's plenty of players that would need to continue to pitch in and continue to put goals and assists in. Right.
In all the Diego Fagundes thing, actually, I didn't see any a lot of people talking about Memo. Mm-hmm. So there was no, I didn't know about official presentation of Memo, to the media. So do you guys talk to him? How he arrived to the team? How he feels about replacing someone important?
Yeah, I don't think you got to look at it as replacing. He was part of a trade. I don't view it as a replacement. He's a player that's come in. He can play on the left-hand side. He can play on the right side. He can also play inside internally as a 10. Memo's a guy who's going to bring us a lot of quality, I think, when it comes to keeping the ball, possession. It was seamless, to be honest with you. He's very familiar with Texas. He's got family in the area, or in Texas, if you will. So, I think this was a natural spot for him to return to. And, I think it wasn't like Memo was an afterthought in this situation, from my understanding. I think that he was a player that we had identified, even maybe going back to when he was a free agent in the offseason. So I think our club has known Memo. I know Davey Arnaud was his assistant coach when he was in Houston. So I think there's a lot of familiarity with him. And I think it was a natural. It was interesting because we didn't really have much happening from a game standpoint, right? So you guys weren't necessarily all around. But, he naturally came in, I think, maybe 2 days later and jumped right into training, and he's done well. He's holding his own, and I think he's settling in. He was asking some guys about who their utilities are for where they live. So he's settling in just fine.
And how was the beneficent for you guys to have 3 weeks off?
Yeah, it's Russ versus Russ, right? The long-going debate. What I think it does is it allows us now to focus in on what we have ahead of us. We have 11 games. We're sitting in 5th place. We want to be hosting a playoff game, and I think half of our games. I think we had 6 away and 5 at home. I want to say, or the other way around. We need this first little stretch is extremely important. You're playing the best team in the West, the top team in the West, who also got knocked out in 2 games. You're going to have a away game against Dallas, which is going to be a game for Copa Tejas, and then you get a really quality team in Seattle, and you finish it off at New England. These 4 games to me are we need to really lock in and key in momentum, trying to get momentum quick, and that means going to St. Louis and getting a result. And putting a good performance on, and really, just getting us going in the right direction, right? It's been a long stretch, the longest in-season stretch I've ever had by far. So, what we've done, we had a game. Obviously, you guys know about that. We mimicked a game against NYCFC. That was good to get 60 minutes apiece there for guys. And it's just finding motivation, right? We know what's in front of us, though, and I really hope we come out guns blazing and give a great performance on Sunday because we needed to grab some momentum, I think.
Speaking of motivation, is there like a win it for Kip rallying cry ahead of this weekend? Some kind of payback amongst the guys?
No, I mean it's I think it's win it for ourselves, man. It's that was a disappointing way for us to start our season as a group, and it's also an opportunity to go against the team that's currently the best in the West, a team that we think we gave points away at home in the opening game. And for us, it's just about going there and proving that last year obviously maybe we exceeded expectations, but that we are someone to compete with, and that we want to be there, and we can show that we can be there every year.
I know y'all are different things, but what are you known from that match? At the beginning of the season.
Yeah, complete control, honestly, for a good portion of the game, and a couple errors, and just maybe just a little bit of lack of control at times from us, and understanding the moment. And I think one thing that we were last year that we haven't been this year is ruthless, right? When we can put a team away, or we can take it from 2-1 to 3-1, or it's tied, finishing our chances. 2 on early in the season, games like St. Louis, Montreal we won, but still that game as well. The Violette game. These are games that you're going to look at things like expected goals, and you just watch it with your eyes and you say, man, this team, you think they should be up, and they're not, right? You got to finish your chances, right? Those teams finish their opportunities, right? You can say we gave them some opportunities or not. They took their opportunities, and that's what you have to do in this game. It's a ruthless game, and that's something that I think that we've gotten a little bit better at, but we need to continue to be better at it. Last year we were absolutely ruthless in front of goal, and we got to get back to that mentality.
In the Cup, Lakes Cup, who do you like and why?
I think it's been a really great competition. I love really how it's gone. I think it's been really exciting. We'll see, what it looks like down the road. Obviously, I'm not in the business of picking winners when it's not my team. So I think it'll be a great game. It's hard to bet against a team that hasn't lost yet in this. Well, it's hard to bet against Messi, right? So I just wouldn't bet against him, right?
And then I know you don't like it, but England or Spain in the world?
You know what? Here's a little stat for you. No team hasn't been ranked in the top 4 or 5 in the Women's World Cup, like rankings coming in, has ever won. So England is ranked 4th, I think, in the world. Spain is 6th. So my numbers would tell me England. All right, I'll take England.
Get you on the Fox broadcast.
Yeah, well,
pretty good.
Yeah. Numbers game. So we're good.
Anything else for Ethan, guys? Good. All right.